Hey guys, Sethley here back with another Apex Legends video. I hope you're all having a fantastic day, and in this video I wanted to cover some news we've recently gotten about the future of the game and new updates that are coming soon. But before we get into it, we're almost at 120,000 subs, which is absolutely insane to me. So if you're brand new to the channel or haven't already subscribed, make sure to hit that sub button and help us hit 120,000 subs. It's the best way to support the channel. But let's go ahead and hop right into the news, starting out with something I saw on my Twitter timeline, and I thought you guys would like to know about it since I know a lot of you guys are crypto mains and likely are hoping for him to get an heirloom soon. Well, we got somewhat of an answer from Jason McCord, a design director at Respawn, as to when or if crypto will be getting an heirloom. Someone tweeted at Jason McCord saying, "Just got heirloom shards, wahoo, but my main is all our favorites crypto, maybe something soon or planned for the future for my boy, ? Which is where Jason McCord came in and gave a bit of a disheartening reply, saying, "I bet all legends get their heirlooms eventually, but I know the next two legends planned. Don't wait." Now, based on this answer, we can glean a bit of good and bad news. Most obviously, it's good to hear that someone who is heavily involved at Respawn and working on Apex bets that every legend will get an heirloom eventually, which, I mean, of course, I'm super pumped about that, but how long it takes for that to happen is another story altogether. Bringing us to the bad news, Jason said he knows the next two legends plan to get an heirloom, yet he still tells the person to not wait for a crypto heirloom and to use his shards on something else because it will probably be a long wait. Of course, he has to put a question mark after saying don't wait because things can change at any point in time, but I think it's not likely to, especially with something like an heirloom. But Josh Medina, producer at Respawn, also chimed in with a gif saying, "Don't hold your breath, kid," which pretty much confirms my assumption that crypto will get an heirloom eventually, but not for a long time. It sounds like the earliest he could get an heirloom is after two different heirlooms they have already finished are released. Make sure to let me know down in the comment section below which legend you want to get an heirloom next. I think I would have to go with Gibby or Caustic. I've always thought the weapon Gibby uses in his finisher and banner poses would make a cool heirloom for him. So let me know if you agree with that as well, but let's get on to the next bit of news, which comes from the Apex Legends dev tracker, where developers let the community know some of the stuff they are currently working on fixing and a few other things. Starting off with a few bug fixes that were made but weren't announced in any patch notes or announcement. First, we have a bug where Octane couldn't stim while aiming down sights, but thankfully that was just recently fixed. The next thing that was fixed is a bug that I covered in a previous video, and this is where Caustic's Nox canisters wouldn't allow players to revive teammates or themselves while in it. Now, this particular bug fix makes me super happy, as I'm sure we can all agree that Caustic's gas is annoying enough without the bugs. But there are also a few more issues that are listed on the dev tracker as investigating, which clearly indicates that they are aware of the problems and are working on fixes. First, we have a pretty interesting glitch that causes players to have the ability to use their gun while phasing, which honestly sounds pretty fun, if I do say so myself. Although this bug sounds fun, it's kinda game breaking. The good thing is they're fixing it and hopefully it will be patched soon. The last thing on the dev tracker that I wanted to go over is a bug that makes it so coming out of a Wraith portal can sometimes push characters under geography, which I'm assuming means under the map, and it's labeled as being investigated, so we probably won't have to deal with it for much longer. Lastly, I wanted to cover an interview with Apex's game and design directors, Chad Grenier and Jason McCord. It came out a couple days ago in an article by Games Radar, and they talk about some pretty important topics regarding future updates coming to Apex Legends. They even go as far as to talk about Season 12. Although it may not be much, it's fascinating to hear them talk about something that's so far off, yet at the same time, it's amazing to hear that they are already working that far ahead. Grenier said, "We always have a ton of exciting stuff in the works. We do internal playtests every day and we're testing new legends, map changes, and content all the way up through to Season 12 now. So you know there's a lot of really cool stuff in the works, but I obviously can't talk about the details." Even though he can't talk about the details, it really does give me more hope that Apex will have a long life, and I definitely do believe in that. I do believe that Apex will be a very long-lasting game, especially since they're working on so so much content and so far in the future as well. They also covered a few things that were recently announced at EA Play Live, including Apex on Nintendo Switch and how it will work. As we all know, competitive first-person shooters are known to be extremely difficult to transpose to a handheld system like the Switch, but the good news is Respawn are aware of the challenges, and Grenier stresses that the team is working hard to make sure that Apex Legends Switch Edition feels as close to the other versions of the game as possible, which I'm glad to hear, because in an ideal world, the game would have almost no differences when being played on PC, console, or Switch, of course with the exceptions of controls and a few other things. Grenier also said we've got a similar stick and button layout as some of the other consoles, so it inherently feels pretty good. We're also supporting the gyroscopic control scheme, and you see that supported in some other shooters, and some people prefer that method of control. So it is the same version of the game, and we want it to feel as good as possible, as well as we hope to get it to a point where players are just as competitive on Switch as they are on PlayStation or Xbox. But as for now, that's all we have heard about Apex on the Switch, but we do also know that it will be released this fall. Speaking of things that are coming this fall, crossplay was also discussed in this interview. McCord explained why it has taken so long for crossplay to be added to the game, saying, "I wouldn't say it's difficult, it's just time consuming. When game invites happen, they go through Xbox's friend system or PlayStation's friend system. And so if you have a friend on Xbox and you're on PlayStation, you can't send them an invite without Apex creating a friend system itself." So I think that's the most time-consuming part, really, is we have to do a lot of UI work. So it's not the most difficult work, it's just that there's a lot of pieces that have to get done to make it work. This definitely implies that when crossplay is released, we will be getting some form of new friend system and UI for it, which I honestly expected, especially for a new feature that's as big and important as crossplay. While it's not much, this just gets me even more hyped for crossplay to come out this fall. In reality, I feel like I can't wait, but at this point, we have already waited over a year, so really what's a couple more months? Lastly, Games Radar asked the Respawn directors what their plans and thoughts are for the release of the new consoles, and by that I mean the PlayStation 5 and Xbox something. I think it's called the Xbox Series X, but don't get mad at me if I'm wrong, because in all honesty, I only really care about the PS5, and that's no hate to Xbox players, it's just that PlayStation has always been my main go-to for consoles. But on to what they said about Apex in regards to the new consoles. According to Games Radar, a recent job listing discovered on Respawn's website suggested the studio was working on a next-gen edition of Apex Legends for PS5 and Xbox Series X. And Grenier quote-unquote diplomatically tiptoed around the possibility of launching on those platforms when it was brought up. However, they did say, "We're excited about it, we watched the PS5 reveal and got super excited, so while we don't have anything to announce yet, we want to bring the game to where all the players are. We'll see what happens in the future." And it really is a given that Apex will eventually be available on PS5 and the new Xbox. I'd even go as far as to say I would be shocked if it isn't available to play on the consoles immediately after they are released. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a like, it really does help me out a ton. And if you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that sub button and turn on the notification bell. It's the best way to support the channel and help us reach the milestone of having 120,000 people a part of the squad. But it's been your boy Seth Lee, and I'm out. If you made it to the end of the video, comment down below the platform you prefer to play on, whether it be PS4, Xbox, PC, or even Switch.